Time for more air-cooled Porsche fun. Let's take a look at this really sweet Porsche. Let's get started. Now before you say it, no, this is not the red Porsche you just saw in a previous video. That was a 911 SC Targa. That is not what this is. This is a 1986 Porsche 930 Turbo. Two separately, totally different cars. It is kind of a 911, but it's a 930 Turbo. This customer is also from out of state, I believe Illinois, I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. This car is in very good shape, but it needs 7 to 8 grand worth of work. Lots of work. When I start showing you the parts and pieces, you will understand why it's so expensive. Let's go ahead and take a look around the car. Now we've already started work on it, but we want to show you guys the beautiful ground effects kit that's on these 930 turbos. This is not something you find on a 911. It is very, very sweet. This juts out a lot further right here. These are very fast cars. They are very fast. As you can see in the engine bay, we have a few things apart. We are going to be replacing the AC system, not just the compressor, but the entire system, because the compressor was locked up tighter than a drum, which means there are metal shavings all through the system. We also had to access a lot of bolts and things to do shocks and struts, and a lot of oil lines that were leaking. Other than that, the car runs perfectly. We did have to replace a relay, which is right over here. It's black. The car would not start, and that was why. A few $100 and the guy's back in business. It's running again. He was fully expecting it to be expensive, and it was not. We are fair here at Omega. When it's time to charge you money, we will. If we don't have to, we won't. And down this side is just as beautiful as the other side. Beautiful air-cooled Porsche goodness. They don't make them like this anymore. This car is easily worth over $100,000. And in today's weird boom that we're in, maybe even more than that.
So here we are, ladies and gents. And this interior is looking sharp. Look at that. This has 55,846 actual miles on it. Sometimes you wonder on older cars if it hasn't rolled over 100,000, but that zero there is holding that 100,000 space. So we know it is actual amount. Lots of good gauges, keeping track of what's going on in the car. A brown steering wheel, and you can tell this is pre-airbag time because look at that tiny little centerpiece. No airbag hanging out in there, so better be careful driving this. This is a garage princess. Look at the dash. Not one little crack up there. Got a weird combination going on. Got a dark brown and then camel. So it kind of looks like it's got the Range Rover kind of color scheme going on in here a little bit, or rather, Range Rover stole from here. It is a 4-speed stick, so this will be a lot of fun to drive. And they've even added in a few more gauges to keep track of the car as well. If we check out the headliner, it's looking pretty good up here. Not so sure back there. Wizard, is that another zipper?
Yes, it is, but look at those tiny little seats. Look at those little itty bitty seats. They're not even a full seat. It's like 2 pads.
It is, but amazingly, there's better legroom back here than there is in a lot of other cars we've reviewed lately. Look at that. That's actually
decent legroom.
Decent legroom. I don't know if I'd still fit back there like I did that last Porsche, but you know.
Well, just like the last Porsche, this one has the same problem as well. The sunroof cable is broken on the passenger side. You've seen in the previous video we unzipped back here and you could access all of the innards, or at least inspect them. And Magic Mike did replace that cable and it's been working flawlessly in that Porsche ever since. We are also going to have to do the same job here. Let's go ahead and show you guys some parts we have on the table. So here we have a parts table of a lot of parts that are being replaced. The first thing I want to show is the front struts. These are the old ones, but let's pretend that they are brand new and we just purchased these. Right here, what I hold in my hand, if these were brand new, $2,000, almost $1,000 a piece. They were starting to leak oil down. You can see they're all coated in oil, slimy, disgusting. What makes these $1,000? First of all, this is a special car. It's a 930 turbo, and these are the green Bilstein shocks, which are not cheap. Also included in the strut is the bracket to mount your brake caliper, also the spindle. This is all one big unit. You don't replace the spindle separate from the strut. It's all one solid unit, which makes the price up. So with those two struts, we're already at $2,000. We haven't even done any work yet. We haven't addressed anything else in the car. We're already at $2,000. Let's keep looking what's on the table here. Here we have a bunch of the oil pipes and oil lines off the engine. They were leaking really bad. You can see this one just spins. That's about to blow off. And it was actually leaking oil all down the line. You can see the oil right there. This CV shaft had a torn boot, and it was thought that maybe we could just replace the boot. But if you look inside of there, there's sand and dirt from being driven on the road, which means the life of this joint is cut in half or more. We are not just going to simply put another boot on and put it back together with all the sand in there. We replace the entire CV shaft assembly, and that'll take care of his boot problem. Here we have the AC compressor, and as you can see, I can't even turn it. It's locked up. In fact, I think it had thrown the belt, is what the customer said, because it locked up so hard. Which means that, along with the entire system, is full of debris. It's going to get new expansion valve, new compressor, receiver dryer, full system flush. So that's a table of a great deal of the parts that we're replacing. That's not all of them. Let's get this thing up in the air and look underneath. So let's go ahead and take a look under this thing. And no, we're not going to find a radiator up front. There's no antifreeze in this car. We are going to find there is a cooler here. There is also, right here is the AC condenser. That will have to be flushed. I just mentioned a minute ago, we're going to have to flush everything out, all the debris. That will be what this is here. There's a fan that sucks air up through there for the air conditioning. Here's our front trunk pan. I don't expect to see an oil pan leak there because the engine's not there. Here we have the front suspension, and you can see the Bilstein 35 dash blah 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 hasn't been installed. Like I said, it includes the spindle and the caliper bracket all in one unit. Our sway bar links are good because there are none, it's just a bushing. And when I look at brakes, you can see that the pads are here. I can see they're nice and thick. They're probably fairly new, and our wear pad sensor is intact. Move over to the other side. Basically the same situation. We've got the new strut installed. The brakes are in good shape. It doesn't need new brakes. So to get these struts out and installed, a couple 3 hours aside. As we move on back, we can see another cooler here. Kind of interesting how it's bolted to the belly of the car, but I imagine the air goes straight over it and keeps everything nice and cool. Move on back. Here's our floor pans. There's some more oil lines and some AC lines and things of that nature. We get back to here. There's a tiny bit of seepage, but there is nothing worth tearing it down over. We'll just clean it all up. There was a drain plug seal here leaking, and there was also just a small amount of seepage here. We'll just clean it off. Like I said, it's not worth tearing it apart. You can see right here we got new shocks in the back. They're also the green Bilsteins. Here's our little sway bar links. Sway bar is good. And then we come back to the air-cooled engine itself. There's a little bit of leak here of the drain plug. We'll take care of that when we do the oil change. There's really no major leaks on this other than the oil lines, which were right in through here. You'll see a lot of them are disconnected, hoses and lines. This line is brand new, is going in, but there was a lot of these that were just dripping oil all over the place. And here's our exhaust, and even with the being a small little car, you can see that it's rubbed a few times here, which is not that big of a deal. It's just a couple scrapes on the muffler. And here's a nice exhaust valve with a little outlet here. Otherwise, it's in pretty good shape for its age. The amount of oil leaks that I found on this car are totally matching up to the age and the years that this car has been around. There's nothing abnormal about what I found. As you can see over there, there's tables, and look at all the boxes, guys. Boxes and boxes of parts that I ordered. So we're getting this going. We're about halfway done with the car. We've got a long ways left to go. This car is very iconic, especially to people that are older than me, 50s, 60s. A lot of those guys remember these cars being brand new. And it really just tugs at their heart. Just like a 67 Camaro, a 67 Corvette, the old muscle car, hot rod days. These would have been the more track-worthy sports cars, true track cars. You could take these cars around the track and they handle so well. A 67 Vet, not so much, but it's very fast and awesome, but this thing would run circles around it on a track. Sometimes cars cost a lot to fix, especially these air-cooled Porsches. The parts are not cheap. I've heard people say, well, I got a friend who's a mechanic who works out of his garage, and if this is where you want to take this type of a car, be my guest, but that's not where I would take this car. I've also heard so-and-so down the street does it a lot cheaper. And if that's where you want to take this car, be my guest. Go for it. But we're very happy to take care of this for this customer. He knows we'll do a good job. Like I said, we've been getting a lot of out-of-state customers. I feel very honored that someone would feel that they could trust us with this type of car, and they definitely can. We'll take care of it for them and get it all fixed up. It's been very busy in the shop. As you can see, we got projects all in the back, lots of things going on, and we're now booking into an August because we have so much to do, and we're very thankful for you guys bringing us your cars. If you're curious what kind of tools we use to work on this 930 Turbo, check my Amazon affiliates link in the description below. We get a small cut for the tools that are listed for sale there, and we really appreciate it. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button because there's so many more cool cars to come after this one. Thanks for watching.